Welcome to MotivationAddict.com with Julie Saillant. This is where you will find inspiring stories on how to motivate yourself and gain momentum towards success, turning fear into confidence, and how to find divine flow, allowing you to crush your goals. Thank you for being here. And now, let's tune in to today's show.
Welcome, everyone. I have Kayla Stra with me today on Motivation Addict, and I love talking with her. She is an amazing person. She is actually a jockey and television personality in thoroughbred horse racing, and she began racing in Australia, and then she came to compete in the United States at the racetracks in California. And she is known for her appearances on the reality television show Jockeys on Animal Planet. She was actually born in Adelaide, South Australia, and she was an apprentice, and she was always in the top 5 riders. She won all of her premierships, and she was amazing. She eventually racked up approximately 500 victories in her native country and became the poster girl for Australian horse racing. And then she came to America, to the United States. And she's not racing any longer. She actually had a son. She actually now has a yoga studio, but she has had so many amazing transformations in her life, a very interesting person. So I can't wait for you to hear this interview. She will give us some real gems about horses and really about transforming your life and going for what you really want to do with your life, no matter what anybody says. So I hope you'll enjoy this. I had a blast talking with her. Kayla Stra, let's go to it. Thank you for being here, Kayla. I am thrilled. Everybody, Motivation Addict, Kayla and I are going to be talking today. Kayla Stra, as you know from my introduction, she is a former jockey. She has a yoga studio. She has an amazing journey that she's going to share with us. So thank you for being here, Kayla.
Thank you for having me, Julie. You're amazing too.
I am psyched that you're here. So let's just start off, because this has never happened before in the history of the world. We had the Kentucky Derby just a couple days ago. Right. And because Kayla was a professional jockey, one of the horse that won was disqualified. And so I would like to get your thoughts on this. What did you think when you saw it? And maybe you can explain to the listeners that a lot of them are equestrians, but they're not jockeys. So they're in my spot and kind of just trying to figure out, it seemed very uncool what he did. What are your thoughts on that?
Right. Well, I mean, horses naturally have that tendency to want to shy away or run out down the lane. The last part. And as a jockey, you have to be very, very careful of holding your line, because you don't want any excuse to lose a race. And in a race like that big, oh my gosh, I don't know what he must have been thinking, like just so nervous probably when he got past the line, because he knew that his horse shifted out. It's hard to say though, coming from where I was raised in Australia with racing and then coming to America, the way that they do inquiries here versus in Europe or Australia, there's probably a lot of conflict there of how it should have turned out. One of the things that I noticed was, yes, he shifted out in front of the horse that came up to win, was automatically placed to win once he was taken down. But that horse still got away and won easily, the DQ'd horse. So he was the better horse, even though the other horse was impeded. But to be placed automatically all the way back at the end of the line when he was DQ'd, and this horse move up to win, I think in the arguments that they had to put up, they probably should have said this horse didn't deserve to be taken all the way down, but it's hard to say where they should have placed him. So in Australia, let's say that happens, the argument would have been, my horse was clearly the best, but he crossed the grounds of the other horse coming, which is unfair. But in the end, if that horse was still going to be a better horse, they should have maybe left him up. But then there's rules. You need to hold your line.
Right.
20 minutes, so it took them, right? So
yeah.
It would have been such a tough argument. Like, as you can see, just me just mumbling through what I saw and what I know. You need to really take a breath and ground yourself down, and then point out, the pros and the cons on both sides, and make a real good argument.
I guess from where I'm sitting, and I'm not a jockey and I don't know all the ins and outs, what I was thinking was we are so lucky that 3 horses didn't have to be put down because the way that happened, the winning horse, the horse that was winning and then the one that was in back had been pushed up, and then you saw almost they were just about touching. And I just thought, oh my gosh, like when you're going that fast and it was wet out,
Yeah.
I just thought we are so lucky that we're not doing that right now. And I don't know. I kind of place the blame on the jockey because I feel that the horses are told where to go and controlled by the jockey. Do you agree with that, or do you not agree with that?
I feel like he probably would have been doing his best to hold that horse straight, because of the amount of money and, the title of that race is so huge. You want to win it fair. But, if you can get away with shifting a little bit here and there because you're under pressure, you can do it in a safe way without, having someone clip your heels. There are tricks.
Yeah.
But, no, I mean, the horses, sometimes their shoulders will shift out under them when their heads are a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
and their body will go there. So if that neck area of the horse is not totally in line with their body, if you can't keep them pushing forward in the bridle and keep back contact, when a horse lifts its head slightly and it gets away, it can just move. I mean, you need its full attention.
Yeah.
It just looked like that horse didn't want to, he wasn't really connected with his rider, and his rider wasn't connected with him.
Yeah. It was pretty incredible. It was definitely different, and I don't know if that was the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do, but I've never seen anything like that ever. I'm sure you probably, yeah. I mean, ever. Not to that degree, and you said like that kind of a race. But I was just curious to get your thoughts because, you've had races, obviously, and you've won quite a bit in the past. So I just wanted to see what your thoughts were and kind of get into the mindset of maybe that was just something that just happened and he tried his best and he couldn't, I mean, you can't outmuscle them. It doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter how long you've been riding. We are 1/10 of even less than that for some jockeys. So, of their weight. So you've got to outride them with your mind, obviously, but
that's why I think it's very important to have that connection with your horse leading up to a big race like that. I would encourage any rider leading up to that race to get on their horse every day, not just for exercise, for the workouts, for the slow exercise. You get to know everything about that horse. So if something like that was going to happen, you jump on it before it happens.
Right. And have the relationship.
Yeah. And unfortunately, it doesn't happen a lot here, or when you get up to that higher level as a jockey, we tend to kind of, leave it to other people to help us out to do the smaller work.
Yeah. I understand.
It, so I like going slow sometimes.
I like going slow all the time. My horse is like, enough with the baby stuff. Let's go.
No, everything counts. Everything's important. Mm-hmm.
Everything counts. Everything's important. And all the groundwork in the world, I believe, leads up to and goes into your riding. So it's always good to have a baseline and a framework, if you will. I always have believed that. I'd like to talk a little bit about, you have kind of pushed through some very serious struggles in your life. And also I'd like to talk about the mindset that you have now, transferring from being a jockey into your yoga business now, because I'd kind of like to give the listeners a little bit of your transformation, if you will. So would you kind of take us through a little bit of the journey as to how you got to where you are right now, running a successful business?
Well, like with everything that I've done, I've always felt it firstly from the heart. And I've learned along my journeys too that the heart is actually one of our thinker spots in our body. It's a space of intuition. It's like a brain, and actually we act a lot off of our emotions and our feelings before our brains put everything into action. So for my stomach, my heart, I've always wanted to work with animals, so I got the opportunity to do that, and I was thrilled. I put everything into it, but when you do put everything into one thing, I think it's very dangerous at times because the amount of pressure that you have. is huge, you know, and then to really focus on one thing and not have anything else to back you up if that shall fail or shall go to a low point, you know, it's hard. And I've seen so many of my friends as writers get depressed or, you know, it's hard. We're not taught a lot about how to handle this huge, you know, weight of pressure as a writer, as a jockey. Yeah, so I did often see a lot of, I would say the other side of things with like drugs and alcohol and partying, because it's like instant gratification, right? So as a jockey, you're just taught, you know, keep your weight down, you speak well, you go to work every day, and that's about it. And then, you know, you win races and people are all over you and they're like, let's go to dinner, let's go party, you're the best, let's have photos, you know, and then you're in the newspapers, you're on the TV every day. And then let's say you go through a really good spot and then you just goes down for whatever reason. And we don't know why or how, but there are blames that go on to you because there's so much money riding on you. So, you know, I went through the ups and downs and I learned a lot about probably what not to do when you're not feeling well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, besides the nutrition side of things, which doesn't help as a jockey, if you're not eating what you should be, you're going to get depressed very easily, because you need to fuel your brain and your body to function so that you can think clearly and from a good space.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I did go through a few years of bulimia, which is pretty common for jockeys. You know, just to eat and then throw up your food. It's kind of gross, but and very expensive dental bills later. So I would not advise that if you're going through that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so going from depression and some anxiety, because I've always been very sensitive. But being sensitive is not a bad thing, I always say, because you can connect to your animals and feel, you know, what's going to happen before it happens often. But I had that anxiety because I didn't know how to desensitize my sensitivity when I needed to. Yeah, so going through racing, it taught me what not to do and maybe opened my eyes up to what can I do to feel more centered and grounded. And in 2010, after I had moved to Australia to ride, back from Australia to ride again here, I had a pretty low point in my life when I financially wasn't doing well because I just finished a TV show on Animal Planet and it was all about jockeys and I was one of the main characters and that was awesome, but that had just ended and then I hadn't won races for maybe a month or two, and then my partner at the time, I like to describe this as like we had a Jerry Springer moment.
Oh, okay.
Where I was just like, what? I mean, this happened in America. I've heard it, but it happened to me. Relationship wasn't going well. So, you know, the only thing that I knew to make me feel better was drugs. And I decided I was so down that I would try and like end my life. So
Wow.
I ended up in hospital. And after that, I actually woke up and I was very surprised. But that day I was supposed to be going to San Francisco, relocating to ride. And I had a full book of cards. So I woke up the night before in hospital and I begged doctors, just let me out. I just need to go ride and get back to work and I'll be fine. And yeah, after I woke up, I guess I was just like, that's it. That was really low. And I woke up a different person. And they let me out of hospital in the conditions that I would go find a therapist and get some medication. So I said, okay, I'll check in with you doctors when I get there and I'll find someone. I rode that day. I got there like an hour before post time and I rode for all the big trainers like Steve and Art Sherman and Jerry Hollendorfer. And it was awesome, but I don't think I won a race that day. But I did go on to have a very successful year that year. That was the year I found yoga, hot yoga, because I couldn't find a therapist.
Wow.
Yeah, I tried to call about 10 different therapists and they're all full. They weren't accepting any patients.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So I thought, well, I'll try yoga again. And I found a hot yoga studio compared to one regular that I'd tried before. And as soon as I sweated, I felt that detox, not only physical and emotional pain, but like all the drugs in me, like everything just came out.
Yeah.
And I immediately felt relief and lighter. It's like my body was crying, right, when you're sweating.
Thank you for sharing that. I know that's very personal, and I really appreciate you doing that. Did you feel different when you woke up and went to the track? Did you feel like a different person, a totally different person? And did you feel like you belonged there, or did you feel like you didn't belong there anymore? Because you did race a little bit more after that, right?
Yeah, no, I raced for until last year maybe. So, I mean, I still raced for another 7 years maybe. Yeah. No, it's 2019 now. So since that incident, my memory and another incident after that, I have this like thing where my memory just shuts off.
Oh, wow.
I do have like blank spots.
Oh, wow.
From incidents like that.
Okay.
I don't know if it's me or it's a protective thing that your mind does. Just
probably. Yeah.
Yeah, stops things out. But I don't know, I was a different person, and a lot has to do with the people around you too. And I just made sure that I surrounded myself with good people. And after that, I was very sensitive of people that weren't good to or for me. I just let them go, and I slowly started just to transform into somebody that knew what was good for them, and I didn't want to experiment anymore. I already kind of knew what was not good for me.
Right. And that's so important that you have the right people around you. And I've learned, probably the last 6 or 7 months that if somebody's taking all your energy and not giving you anything back, or they're just not a good match for you, you have to let them go at some point. Because
you give them some time.
Yeah.
Give them a bit of a chance. And
yeah, of course.
Feel right. Then you just kind of,
But after a couple of years, if for me, this person was a very good friend, like a childhood friend, but she always just drained me and never gave me anything back. And it was always one-sided. And I kind of, after my dad passed away, I was kind of like, I looked at life differently. I just kind of thought, I don't know how much time we have, and I want to be happy, and I can't have vampires around that are always sucking all the good energy out of me. It has to be, a relationship has to be 50-50, right? You listen to me, I listen to you, we help each other. And it wasn't that type of relationship. So I think that you're right, that you need to surround yourself with people that will help you, but also you need to have healthy boundaries for yourself. Mm-hmm. And with you being a jockey, you had so much pressure on you at all times, right? That pressure never let up, did it? I mean, all through the year.
It was constant. I never had hardly a real day off. Even when I had days off, I was still kind of watching race replays, studying the horses and the jockeys, and making sure my body was physically ready to do it again. And but the good thing is about animals, when you have animals around you, they kind of bring you back to what's important.
Yeah.
If you keep animals around you too, as well as good people, you have these glimpses of life. Like there is life outside of this bubble.
Yes. Right? Yes.
Like say the dogs walk me, I don't walk them. Yeah.
Well, horses and animals have been my savior, and I love them way more than people. And people always laugh, and I'm like, I'm not kidding. I'm really not kidding. Like they help. They just are the master teachers, and they help us focus. And I just try to be with them and enjoy them. And I'd love to get your thoughts on, I'm going to guess that there usually in the equestrian world, there are way more women than men by 99%, maybe 98%. In the jockey world, not so much, right? It's usually men. But I'm going to bet, and tell me if I'm wrong, that the horses respond better to women because they're more sensitive. Am I right? Is that your experience?
Yeah, and you'll find some males that are sensitive to animals, but when the ego is involved and they're naturally they're male.
Yeah.
You know, they hold that essence of male, male, you know, bodies and strength and competition. You know, that's what people thought for years, and still kind of thinking here in California. You need to just be strong, and you need to shut off that emotion and just ride because you need the win. That's when the horses start getting injured, though, because you know they're not sensitive to, hey, this horse has got a sore knee. You know, this is why it's not running. Or hey, this horse is. I could even sometimes feel when a horse's blood count was down. So you can take a blood count on a horse, and it's tired because its immune system is worn down from fighting something off.
Wow.
You can tell the difference because usually a horse is bright and bubbly, and then the next day it's quiet and hard to move. You know, things like that. They need to be taken note of, and it helps the horse to win because you need a healthy horse, you know, and a happy horse.
Just like you need a healthy, happy human to win. And to thrive in life. And it's the same way with the animals. You know, we need to give them days off. You know, there are people that train every single day, and that's okay. And I understand that. And I understand you have goals, but sometimes taking a day off is huge, not just for the body, for the mind, because they need to be a horse and do something. Maybe just it's relaxing and just walking around and just being and just enjoying the sunshine. I know that sounds a little woo-woo to some people, but I truly believe it's a lot for the mind. I mean, I can tell you in the saddlebred world, you know, when they don't let them out for all day and they're wearing full sets and they go outside in the sun, they're like this. And I know that's what they want, but that's not really being a horse. You know, I mean, you need them to be fresh, and to do so, they need complete rest, body, mind, soul, everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the horses are so sensitive. I think I spoke about this one time before. This is going to just go all the way out there. But we touched on the chakra points in people, our energy centers. And when something's off somewhere, you know, we need the energy to flow through it better so that we can have the entire body working as one. And when often some parts are blocked and ignored, you know, it's very hard to kind of get in your flow again and just function. But when you compare the chakra points, the energy points of a person to a horse, the horse's crown chakra, the one that is above the head, it connects us to everything and everyone, that is right between their ears and their forehead, where the unicorn horn is often represented. That's like my favorite new thing to tell everyone.
I love that.
Yeah. So when you talk about a horse being sensitive and needing sunlight and the environment that it's supposed to be in, it does, because, you know, they're beautiful wild animals. So you lock anybody up in a box for long enough, they're going to get depressed and not want to do things.
Yeah, and even go crazy. Sometimes they go crazy.
Oh, yeah. I'll go crazy if you lock me in a house just for a day.
Yeah. What about your mindset if after you've had an injury? What tools could you give, or tips could you give to the listeners if they have been riding and maybe they've had an injury and they don't trust themselves anymore, let alone their horse? Do you have any thoughts on how they could maybe bounce back a little bit? Any pointers?
Yeah, that's a tough one because everybody's so different and every horse's personality is, I guess, just take your time. Maybe not just get straight back in the saddle. Maybe just spend some time on the ground with the horse and just learn each other's trust again.
Yeah.
You know, little things like just showing you care and you're not going to punish them for something, because the horse is probably going to be scared too if he knows that, you know, if you fell off and you got hurt. Usually the first reaction is, oh, you stupid horse, you know, like, why did you do that? And then they're like, you know, I can't run away right now because I've, you know, got gear on me.
Yeah.
But they probably would just like, they either nuzzle up to you and say sorry or leave.
Yeah, I'm out. Yeah.
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 You need to find that middle ground again where you both can come to. And often that helps when you're on the ground with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want beer.
I think that taking your time is key, and everybody's different. And I think one of the best trainers I ever had said, it takes as long as it takes, right?
Yeah.
Every horse is different. Every person's different. Maybe you could bounce back in a day, and maybe it takes me a week. Maybe it takes me a few months. Everyone's just different, and injuries are different. And it's always, today's horse is not yesterday's horse, is not tomorrow's horse, I always say, because they remember, but yet they don't. They live in the present moment, but they do remember injuries. They do remember accidents. They remember your face. They remember all that stuff. But you as a person also need time too. So I think doing groundwork is always that safe place to be and to start again and build back up.
If you're talking about a horse's injury.
I'm talking about a person injury, but talk about a horse injury as well too.
Okay. But so for the horse injury, yeah, definitely take your time. But as a rider, you should be able to feel everything. And I think it's very important to be taught how to feel. So, for example, you can feel mostly everything when they're trotting at their jog, because they're supposed to be symmetrical, like moving, exactly same, back and forth. So anyway, when you're rise trotting on that horse, you can either hone in on the front legs or the back from that bounce off of the saddle.
Yeah.
And you should be able to feel it even, like, so your bounce on both sides. Say you're rising on the right leg, the front right, so that, and then you swap to the left, right? Your bounce should be exactly the same.
Yes.
And also, if you're honing in on the back legs, your bounce should be the same. But let's say front right is off. You just pretend you're front right, or we don't have fronts. your right leg, right? Let's say you have, you're stepping on like hot coals. You're
Yeah.
going to hop off of that leg really quickly if it's sore. So the left leg is going to extend naturally, more. The right leg's going to be short, and then you're going to hop off of it. Hang on.
Wait.
Opposite. Right. So
right.
Say your front right is sore. You're going to hop off of the left leg really quickly.
Yes.
Much easier when I'm doing it.
I know. I'm thinking too. I'm like.
You know what I'm saying? Just pretend it is you. You can feel that on the horse. And often the riders will say the wrong thing. That's why the trainers won't listen to them. So it is important to say it first and practice before you say it for real.
Yeah.
So yeah, if it's sore in front, the shorter one, right, will be the one that is not sore.
The one that, yeah.
There we go.
Yep.
And if it's sore behind, you're going to feel like you're trying to lift yourself off of the saddle. There's no bounce.
Right.
So you can definitely feel when horses sore in the back.
Right.
And then you need to be careful though sometimes when you have a colt or a stallion that behind is not just squeezing its big huevos.
Oh.
Because sometimes you'll think a horse is sore, but it's only because it has such big end tires.
Oh. Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So that can trick people sometimes. So you have to be careful there. You can feel when a horse is bleeding during a race sometimes, or during a workout. And you can tell because when it pulls up from a gallop or a workout, it'll have a little cough or a little gurgle. And sometimes that cough will sound like it's got something in its throat.
Yeah.
And so it'll hold its head down low because it's got something, in the back of its throat.
Wow.
Sometimes it'll be pharyngitis from a younger horse, because the younger horses often get that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but there's all kinds of little things that can affect a horse, and this is stuff we need to practice.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell I'm out of practice. I haven't ridden a racehorse now for, I think, 8 months.
So now you spend all your time, full-time, doing yoga at your studio. Is that right? Is that your passion right now?
Yeah. Working with the horses and the children and the yoga. So I do still have a racehorse at my house on holy ground. And I use him more for therapy because I believe that the animals are like my therapists.
I totally believe that.
As well as yoga. But
yeah.
They make you get outside. You have this feeling of responsibility, and most of the time they pay it back to you. Yeah, so it's definitely a good investment to have a big animal, even though they are expensive. I save on doctor's bills quite often, and I'm sure.
Yes. Me too. I'm nodding my head because yes, I'm the same exact way.
Mm-hmm.
Same exact way. My father said that. Yeah. He said either we get her a therapist or she gets the horse. And I talk to the horse just like I'm talking to you. And they listen to me, and it's my happy place. It's my Zen place. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. So it keeps me sane. It keeps me grounded, right? Because they keep you grounded. They keep you present. You know, it's so funny if you're not paying attention, they'll nudge you, you know, with their nose, or, you know, like, hey, did you not come to see me today or what? Like, I'm right here. Like, pay attention to me. It's so funny the way they talk. And they're such master teachers. They're just magical beings. I mean, everyone that's listening, that's an equestrian, which is probably 90% of the people that are going to be listening, understand as well. I just wish that we could give this experience to others, because I feel that, and I'd like to know what you think, they help everyone. You don't have to have PTSD or autism or MS. They help everybody because we're all flawed. Nobody's perfect. And they've recently been saying that they help women that have been abused in terrible situations. But even someone who, like myself or like yourself, who's very sensitive and takes a lot of energy around them they're very much helpful in the being in the present and like staying 100% with me. Like, you're with me now. You're not thinking about yesterday. You're not thinking about tomorrow. You're with them. And you being sensitive, I'm sure you felt that as well, right?
Oh, yeah. And I think because they're such big animals and still able to be so sensitive, that really opens your eyes to the beauty of them, because they trust us, you know, and they want to be able to join, you know, like bond with us in order to be one.
Yeah.
So when you feel that connection, I think that's when the magic happens.
Yeah.
When you connect with a huge animal like that is gentle enough and accepting enough to have you on their back or grooming them, touching them, whatever. It's just, it's a magical moment, and it's definitely worth it. Worth having that empty pocket sometimes.
It's
but
awesome.
Your heart is full. Your heart is so full, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what life's about, right? So you've got the horse. You've got one or two children?
I have a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old right now, and 2 dogs and 1 foster dog. And then I have a pony, other than the horse. I have 2 horses.
Okay.
I do use the pony, the older guy, a lot for the children from the yoga studio here. We call our group the Crystal Kids. And I'm teaching them all about the environment, being present and mindful, as well as yoga, meditation, breath work.
Love that.
Their chakras. But I also tell them that unicorn story often. And I also show them horse poo. And I say, the stuff in the stores is fake. I'm sorry, but it's unicorn poo. Yeah. See, nobody gets it. Every horse is a unicorn. Oh, that's something else that's very helpful, right? We were talking a while ago about loving cleaning horse poo. It's like a moving meditation.
Yeah.
So often, when you're cleaning, when you're, just breathing without a bunch of stuff going on, it's a good place to be.
Yeah. And it just teaches you to be mindful and present, because they're so big that they'll either walk away or they'll nudge you. And I think it is magical that they still forgive us. You know, you can make a lot of mistakes with horses. Yeah. Even as a good owner, you're a human, and I made a ton of mistakes with my horse, but they still forgive you, and they're still happy to see you, and they still love you no matter what you look like or how they just take it all in, and they just still love you back, which is the magic, I think, that we as humans, if you make mistakes, we sometimes don't forgive. And that's one of the best lessons they can teach us, is that, they just forgive and move on. They just forget, so it's in the past. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the horses though, they do that, and they're still the same horse. But for example, like some of them, my horse came from the racetrack, and his personality has never changed, because he's always been like a nervous kind of horse.
Yeah.
And he's very forgiving still to me. But for example, his personality, I still want to work with, because I don't want him to be nervous his whole life when he's anticipating things happening.
Yeah.
Like the other day, the dentist came to do his teeth, and before the dentist even got there, he knew, and I had him in the cross ties, and he was pacing back and forth. When usually he'd stand there, I'm like, he knows.
Yeah.
So I don't want him to be nervous when a new person comes or is coming, and he knows it. I want him to, you know, feel safe and feel like he's going to be okay. So horses, like, it's so funny the way that they behave, and they just anticipate and know things.
Yeah.
But to work on things like that, I've been doing some research, and there's some pretty good healers out there who work on the chakras and the meridian points in the body.
Mm-hmm.
And they can release that fight or flight mechanism in their body to where it's really relaxed, and then their body's able to heal. Have you seen that?
Are you talking about endo tapping?
No, but it's probably very similar. The one that I was looking at was like this light wave, and it sends pulses to relax these major points in the horse's body, so that wherever they're stiff or tight or like their energy is blocked, they can release it. And sometimes it'll even pop out through like their skin. Like,
really?
Yeah.
So
there's a really good one, Daphne's Healing Hands, I think. She has a lot of information about chakras with animals.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to look at that. So just last week, one of the boarders brought it to our attention, this thing called endo tapping, which I have never heard of.
I've seen other people where you just release by tapping parts of your body, right?
So that's for us. This is for horses, and they take a small crop and they put like a little ball on it, but they start tapping at their withers, and it's the same type of thing as, you know, we do, you know, our tapping, but it's on horses, same type of thing. And they just relax their heads and calm down. But anyway, the amazing thing was, once you teach them this technique, you can use it while riding, right? So they show a horse that's, you know, nervous, and I have a nervous horse, or he's nervous because I get nervous. I don't know which, but maybe a little bit of both. But this horse was starting to actually rear up, very not good situation. And she tapped him on the withers, and he just right down. And I was like, what? Like, so we're going to have a class on it in 2 weeks. And I got to let you know how it goes. But I started looking at it online. It's amazing. But I think it's the same type of thing. They start on the neck. Then they go to the withers, and they go to the, you know, all those points. But they just, I think it creates endorphins in them. And then they just kind of not happy, just happy ones, not excitable ones. And then they just kind of start relaxing to the point where this expert, she would just do it in 2 seconds. They'd be relaxed, like head down, everything. I was like, I need that in my life. It's so cool. And it's so, I mean, I want to learn the right way to do it, but to do it then under saddle, wow. How helpful would that be, right?
Yeah. It's non-invasive. It's non-aggressive. And I mean, I think as a whole, in general, the whole, you know, human race is coming so far with connecting with animals and respecting them, and then getting the same back from the animal. For so long there was this like battle, and it was always the way that it should be. People said, you know, like men rule animals, right? But in this really beautiful light, when you come together and you're able to just like tap a spot on a horse or like, you know, go do yoga and breathe and connect with yourself better. It's such a subtle level, and it's so nice to be there. Yeah. That's when I talk about subtle body, you know, your energy.
So cool. I mean, if it works on humans, and it works on horses, that's, I mean, I can't wait till the class. I can't wait. I'll have to tell you how it goes, but I think that this stuff, like you said, it's non-invasive. It's something that anybody can do once they learn it, and it's not hard. It's like if you do Reiki, it takes years. I mean, you can be a healer on certain levels, but you know, something like that takes quite a long time. And I like that anybody can learn this. You know, you don't have to be a doctor. You don't have to be special. You know, you can learn a technique that will help your horse, but and you at the same time, so you can both relax. Because if you're nervous, you want your horse to relax. If he's nervous, then I get nervous. And then that's not a good situation when you have a horse and a rider that's nervous. That's just not, I mean, maybe if you're in a race, that's one thing, but normally that's not good.
Mm-hmm.
And they can't learn anything when they're nervous or in fear, right?
No, that's not a good place to be.
No. And you want to have fun on your horse. You want to relax and enjoy it instead of it, like you were saying, you don't want your horse to be nervous every time somebody comes around. You want that horse to be relaxed and happy. And I guess above all, know that he's safe. He's safe with you, right?
Yeah. So like you want the animal to trust that you are its best advocate. That's what I learned when I was doing therapy animal certificate with my dog. We have him registered as a therapy animal, and I did a handler's course. And you are your animal's best advocate, but you want them to know that.
Right.
If you're around, you will make sure that they are not going to get hurt.
Right.
You're kind of on their side. But I guess some animals don't see that. They just look right past you because they're still scared. And that's where I'm at with my horse. I need to work on him, just letting go of whatever happened to him before and knowing that he's in a good, safe place. But some animals are more stubborn than others.
Just a little bit. And they remember everything. So it can be a challenge. And sometimes they just get right into that flight mode and they just want to leave. Like, I'm out, bye. I'll look later on when I'm way over there, I'll look, but they just, we do our best, right? I mean, it's a process and we take our time as best we can. But I think having these tools that's really cool. You got to keep me posted on that, because I want to know, how that's working for you. And I want to let you know how this endo tapping thing goes. And it'll be a process. But I can't wait to check it out and really try it with my horse, because I'm sure at first he's going to be like, what are you doing back there? Like, and they say horses get nervous at first because obviously you're tapping them and they're like, what's going on here? You know what I mean? Until
that means like move or get out of the way.
Exactly. Usually it means move over or, move your hind end, or, I mean, he's good. If I say over, he knows over, but they know there's a purpose with it, right? In the past, that's what they've always been used to. So.
Yeah. But this is cool that you're going to be able to do it, and it's being talked about more than just done by a few people here and there.
Yeah.
I think that people are starting to recognize this is just, it's so good for both humans and animals that, we're going to be moving up on another level, another plane, being able to maybe connect even more with them.
Yeah.
Like maybe soon that whole like intuitive, oh, I know what he's thinking will just be a natural thing with us.
That would be cool. That would be so cool.
It's so possible. I'd like my horse to compliment me when I walk outside in the morning and just be like, you look so beautiful today. Thank you. I love you too.
I love you too. Let me know how that works out for you. Well, but it is cool, because when you do have that ability to understand them and listen to them, and it's cool when you're on them and you're riding and you think something and they do it, and you didn't do anything physically. You just thought, like slow down or turn, and they do it. I'm sure you've had that experience. That's like the coolest moment, because you're in that, your minds are together and you're like a real unit. And that is such a cool feeling.
Yeah, it is. It's like you're what is that called? Like, I'm a Sagittarius. You're like half human, half horse. There are your legs. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They're amazing.
So you got to think positive though, because you don't want to be like, I think he's going to stop at that jump and then stop, because that would not be good. Oh.
I really appreciate you being here, Kayla. I can't thank you enough. I had a great time with her. She's amazing. And I am thrilled that she came. So hope you guys have a good night.